Hello and welcome to the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us for this update of what's new in the city of Maple Grove and a look back at the most recent council meeting. That's all next for you right here on the Maple Grove City Report. And thank you again for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report, joined by City Administrator Al Madsen. And Al, last time, at least we think it's the last time, unless something else changes, that Al will join us on the program. What's it been like over the last month or so far? You were just talking ahead of time here. Yeah, it's busy to be retired or going into retirement, right?
We're getting tired from retirement. It has been busy. I'm very, very humbled and appreciate the accolades and all the different retirement parties that people have had for Sharon and I. It's just been outstanding and far more than it really needed to be as far as we're concerned. But yeah, it's been very, very nice. And so it's be the last time for me doing the Maple Grove Report as a city administrator. But
right.
You're aware that the council did appoint me effective December 1st as a resident representative on the Cable Commission. So,
and for people that don't know, explain that a little bit. You've been involved in that way for a long time, and you'll continue that involvement, and that means a lot to us here and for what people are seeing. Why do you do that, and what do you do with that for people that don't know? Yeah.
Well, the Cable Commission, it goes back a number of years, and it's very, very critical. Right now, the Cable Commission is actively involved working with CenturyLink for another franchise agreement. Right now, Comcast is the only franchise agreement holder for all the member cities, and so we're working with CenturyLink to bring in another internet provider. So it's fun. It's a great group of people comprised, of the member cities. And it's a great staff that here is at Cable 12, and so it's been fun. It's been challenging at times, but it's also been highly educational. So it's been good.
Now, he likes to keep up on this high-tech stuff, so they keep his mind filled with what's next in the world of technology, so we appreciate that. We'll talk a little bit more about the Maple Grove Report and its future later on in the program, but let's get to some things around town. We had a council meeting that for the city of Maple Grove was an extended council meeting. It was an hour and a half long, so we'll explain why in just a few minutes. But first, let's go around town. What are some new things that are happening in Maple Grove residents should know?
Well, just a few things. On December 14th, Mayor Stephenson, Public Works Director Ken Ashfield, and our Assistant City Engineer Jupe Hale will be meeting with Commissioner Zelli, who is the Minnesota State Department Commissioner for the State Department. And hopefully we can convince him that there's needed funding to wrap up some of that other work for 610. A lot of people out there seem to think that 610 is going to be fully done at the end of 16. But there's offshoot roads that need to be completed, and that takes money. And so we're working with Senator Limmer and Representatives Pepin and Smith for a bill in this 2016 legislature for some funding to go along with funding that we have accumulated over the years to help complete these offshoot roads. And we're trying to, I shouldn't say trying to meet, but we are meeting with Commissioner Zelli. Very, very nice gentleman. Personally, I think he's done a very, very good job for the state of Minnesota in the area of transportation. So we're looking, obviously, for his support behind that as well.
So when you say the offshoot roads, is this working more towards the west then of 94? Because I know we've talked in the past on the program that you wouldn't want this just to end right at 94. Obviously, that's one of the main goals, is to connect things over to 94, but you've got a lot of land on the other side and other cities on the other side. So is that where we're headed with this?
It is. There's no doubt about that. Out toward the Brockton interchange area, 105th, that area out there. So a lot of people seem to think that when we talk about 610, oh, that's going to be all done in 2016, and we wish that was the case. But there's still, we need about $40 to $45 million for that added work. And so hopefully we'll be able to find some money in the legislature to go along with what we have accumulated through assessments and other forms of funding to get that all wrapped up.
So would the money that you're looking for all be from city and state? No need to go further than that at this point?
Right now it would be city and state. The county has taken the position that the roads are not county roads and do not impact them, even though they tie in. That's our position right now. So we'll see. Maybe we can squeeze a few million out of the county.
Very
We're
good.
working on that too.
All right, we will keep you up to date on that progress as 610 moves along.
Coming up on December 7th at 7:30 p.m. will be the 2016 budget hearing. I want to thank all the department directors and all supervisors for coming forth with what I believe is a very responsible budget. We'll have the budget hearing on December 7th. The council will take input from the public, and then they will not formally adopt the budget until the December 21st meeting. So, but they will take all the input, review everything at the December 7th meeting. So.
And I take it you'll be watching that at home on TV, right? Not sitting there, but you'll be watching the proceedings. Is that going to be strange for you not to be at that final part of the budget, something you've worked on so hard?
Well, it certainly will be. In fact, Sharon asked if I was going to be going to the meeting, and I said, well, they're going to be having, I believe, at the Government Center a reception for Tim Fino, who is our long-term park board chair, and that's downstairs in EOC. So after that finishes, I may wander upstairs. I may sit in the back of the audience.
Be this guy in the back row with a hat on, sunglasses. Just
disguise, right?
Very good.
But it's a very, very responsible budget. And just to talk about some of the residential values. For 2016, we're looking at single-family residential values to go up about 2.4%. Lakeshore is 3.3%. Condos is 3.8%, and townhouses is 7.6%. And commercial and industrial should see reduction in their taxes. And so when you're determining values, people want values low while they're not in the mood to sell.
Sure, exactly.
And then as soon as they think about selling, push that value way up. So it's a very, very responsible budget, and I think that the values put forth for 2016 are modest values. We're probably going to see on the local level tax increase to our taxpayers of about $2 a month, so $24 a year. So.
Okay. And usually at that hearing, there really isn't an audience that comes in response to that. Over the years that you've been involved, have there really been that many questions that have come up that late in the process, or is it more a formality at that point?
Well, I hate to say it's a formality because it is a public hearing.
Right.
Years ago, we did have quite a few people that did come out. But I would say over the last, I'm thinking maybe 10 years, the attendance has not been, there hasn't been a tremendous outpouring from residents. Our proposed budget is on our website, and so people can take a look at that. They can come in and talk to our finance staff. So everything is wide out in the open. So.
Right. So a good sign, you would have to say, in the past 10 years or so, if not a lot of people coming in at the point they're confident with what the staff is doing.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Very
yes. Good. So. As you mentioned, the council meeting was just about an hour and a half long and a little out of character for us lately.
Very much so.
But it was a good discussion on several residential projects. We did appoint 4 paid-on-call firefighters. Welcome Steve Anderson, Steve James, Scott Kelty, and Jesse Navin to our fire department. They're paid-on-call firefighters, and they're on probation for a year. And so they all passed their preliminary tests in order to be appointed to a probationary firefighter. So.
And this, I guess, would be a regular part of the process. Obviously, on an ongoing basis, there are firefighters that move out of the area or retire. So you're constantly trying to refill those positions.
We are, because there's job changes, there's location changes, there's maybe illness or whatever the case may be. And so it's kind of a never-ending battle to try to make sure we maintain a firefighter level of about 100.
Okay.
And it's tough. The daytime is the most difficult to find firefighters, but we've got 5 fire stations. We want to make sure that they're all adequately staffed in case there is a fire.
So again, if people are interested on an ongoing basis or at any point during the year, I would guess they can call City Hall or talk to Chief Anderson and might be able to get some information about what it takes and what the process would be.
Absolutely, yes. Okay. If someone is interested in becoming a firefighter, we would love to have them talk to the chief. You bet.
Okay.
We did set the Board of Appeal and Equalization for April 12. That's ways out. I guess we should think spring.
Right, sounds good.
April 12, and then the reconvene is April 26. And what that meeting is it allows residents to come, and if they have questions or differences of opinion about their values, they can come in. And a number of people, when they do come in, they're very well armed, so to speak. They're well researched, and so they make a good case as to, okay, my value's here, and I think it should be down to here. And so it gives them the opportunity to present their case to the City Council, and then the City Council takes the information, and then many times it requires our assessing department staff to review the information, see how accurate it is, and then come back 2 weeks later with a recommendation that either the value stays at what was presented at the first meeting, or maybe it's lowered. There have been some cases where it has been increased.
Right.
Also, if residents after that second meeting, if they're still not happy with their value, they can take that to the Hennepin County. But they run a big risk, though, of that being increased, their value being increased. And once that happens, you can't go any further. So you have to wait till the following year.
Okay.
But it gives the individuals, the residents, an opportunity to say that, I'm not certain if I agree with the value that's placed on my property. And here's what I think it should be. But people will come in and have done their research.
Sure.
And we just don't expect someone to come in and say, gee, I think it should be X. You've got it at Y, and it should be X.
Right.
So. And that'll be April 12 and April 26.
Okay,
so.
And again, an annual event that always happens at the city. Is that then looking at the value that would be impacted by the taxes for 2016, or are we already looking ahead to 2017, beginning that process?
2016 value for 2017 taxes, right.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, the council did appoint me to remain on the Cable Commission as a resident this time, not as a city administrator.
Right.
And so you just can't seem to get rid of me, I
Oh,
guess.
well, so we'll take you. As we're taping this, tomorrow morning is the next meeting, so
Yes.
budget process and all of that working its way through.
Yes,
so
it is,
we
right.
appreciate your help on that.
As the world knows, I guess, with all the retirement parties I've had, I am leaving, retiring at the end of this month, November 30, which at this past Monday night council meeting, after everything was wrapped up and after everybody had left, I sat in the council chambers, and I guess it really struck me that, wow, November 30 is just a stone's throw away. The new city administrator, Heidi Nelson, she will not start until December 21. So in the meantime, Finance Director Jim Knudsen will be the acting city administrator from December 1st to the 9th, and then Ken Ashfeld, who is our Public Works Director, will be the acting city administrator from the 9th to the 20th.
Okay.
And then Heidi will come in on December 21st.
Very good.
We've got the month of December covered. So.
Excellent. Has Heidi been at meetings, or what has her contact with the city been up to this point, and your contact with her as far as starting to share some information?
Heidi and I have met several times. Heidi also, we've set up orientation with a variety of our directors. She's been out to take a look at our park system. She went out and with our Public Works Director and looked at a number of engineering projects that are underway. She'll be meeting with other city staff. She'll be meeting with the administration staff next month in December. And so slowly we've been getting her through the orientation process. So.
Very good.
Yeah, so it'll all come together. We did have several, in fact, talking about Heidi, That was one of the items on this past Monday night's agenda. The mayor and the council introduced Heidi Nelson to our residents as the new city administrator for Maple Grove. So, we did have a very nice presentation from the Maple Grove Lions. They provided the city with a check for $27,500.
Wonderful.
And the purpose of that is to purchase, along with some additional funding, automatic license plate readers. High technology. Those type of things can make an officer's job so much easier and so much quicker. And so we're very appreciative of the Maple Grove Lions. They always step to the plate and help our public safety folks. So we're happy with that.
So tell us a little bit more about these. Are these pieces of technology that have been used in Maple Grove at all or in other cities in the area? And a little bit about the process. Do you know how these things actually work? Have you been given a demo yet?
I have not been given a demo yet. I don't know all the technology associated with it. It has not been used in Maple Grove. No, this is a new tool for us. It has been used, excuse me, in a number of other cities.
Okay.
And found to be very effective. Just from the standpoint of the efficiency and just quickness. You can scan all kinds of license plates to find out if there's any outstanding warrants, and that happens just bam, quickly. So it's a very, very nice
well,
tool.
thank you to the Lions.
Very much. We had a presentation from Representative Dennis Smith that stopped by to talk about the 2016 legislative session. Dennis, I think, is doing a very good job. As newly elected representatives and senators will say, the first year they're always trying to find where things are.
Sure.
And Dennis certainly has, Representative Smith certainly has found where everything is. He's very good in communication. He's very personable, and so he came by just to talk about the 2016 session and what could be anticipated, whether there will be a bonding bill, probably not. Will there be a tax bill? Maybe not. It's just so hard to say. This is a shorter session, they call it, which is to be wrapped up in May. Comes together in March and is to be wrapped up in May. And who knows just how much they will get done, because it's also an election year, 2016. So
that has a little bit of impact. Any particular things he mentioned of interest or note for the city standpoint, or anything that the mayor or council mentioned to him of important items for a city at this point in time?
Well, the additional money for 610, we did talk about that.
Okay.
But not anything that in particular for the city of Maple Grove. Just kind of the overall picture as to how the legislature is going to work this session, because it is a short session, and are they going to take off the table some of the things that they talked about in 2015?
Right.
Bring those back. It's hard to say. Body cameras for police officers. The body cameras themselves, they're used, but it's how long do you store the data?
Sure.
And so that's a big question mark. That will probably be one of the items as well.
Okay, very good. We'll keep you up to date as the city of Maple Grove gets more information.
We did have unfortunately, a couple of liquor license violations. Our police department goes out and takes a decoy with, and just to make sure that our establishments that have a liquor license are abiding by the liquor laws, and it's certainly not difficult in this state. If you're looking at the license, it cannot be more clear if someone is underage. But we did have 2 businesses that unfortunately failed. We're happy it's 2. Sometimes we've certainly had 6. I keep thinking one year we might have had a dozen a number of years ago. But the establishments are getting smarter now, and they also are using higher technology, and so that helps. But Frankie's Pizza did have a violation, and so the representatives from Frankie's Pizza were there and presented their case into what they'll be doing to make sure it doesn't happen again. The Frankie's Pizza was hit with a 2-day suspension and a $2,000 fine. That will not, this item will come back to the next council meeting. after the attorney prepares all the findings of fact.
Sure.
And then at that time, we'll impose which days are to be no sale
Right.
For them. And then the other one was Kyoto Sushi. Kyoto, I should back up a minute to Frankie's. Frankie's was 5 days because they did have another violation in 2014. So they got tapped for 5 days.
Okay.
And a $2,000 fine. The $2,000 fine is set by state law. Kyoto Sushi had a violation also, but they had 3 years that had passed since their last violation. And again, they came and spoke about things that they will be doing, training and things like that. So the council did levy a 2-day suspension for Kyoto and a $2,000 fine. Again, both of those are coming back to the December 7th council meeting for formal action. So.
Okay. Let's talk just on the opposite end of that, and we've talked about this a number of times over the years. How about on the positive side of it? You mentioned that 2 failed. How many do they go out? Do you know what the number is that they check during this process at this time of the year that actually pass? And if those do pass, is there a celebration, or what happens to those that pass? Are they acknowledged that they have done a good job?
Well, they're acknowledged, yes, that they have done a good job. One of the things that and obviously it's too late for me to implement, but would be nice to implement is some type of a reward system. If a liquor establishment, an on-sale liquor establishment, gets through, let's say, 5 years in a row, maybe they get a break in the cost of a liquor license, or if it's more than that,
Sure.
some kind of a reward system or some kind of an incentive system. And so, but you know, when a business does pass, yes, there certainly is acknowledge of that.
Do you know how many were checked this last time when 2 failed, of how many came on the positive side?
I think that there were at least a dozen
Okay.
that were checked. So we had, even if we used 12, we had 2 out of 12 that
Right.
didn't make it. So,
Okay.
and in most cases, it's just human error. You know, the waiter, waitress, they'll look at the license, hand it back, and go get, you know, the drink, come back and serve. And so in many cases, it's just plain and simple, you got to be more alert.
Right.
So we do require all of our liquor license holders to attend a training session. We hold those training sessions several times a year. So we try to get them to, not try to, but they're mandatory to attend. So we had a couple of residential projects that were under discussion.
Right.
One is the Dunlaven at, we have 2 called the Enclave. The Enclave at Dunlaven Woods, that's a 29 unit on 43 acres, so it's not a heavy density item. That was approved. And then the other one that did have some discussion was called the Dunlaven at Rush Creek. This is 66 units, and again, this is a little over 2 units an acre, so it's not a huge, dense area.
Right.
But it's up in the northwest quadrant of the city. And services, health and services, fire and safety, has to come from Dayton. And in this particular development, there's one way in and one way out.
Okay.
So one of the concerns was, you know, public safety, one way in, one way out. We do have a number of things like that around the city where that does occur. Fernbrook School being one. That's one road in and one road out, same road out.
Right.
And so there was discussion about public safety. Some of the residents were concerned about, during the construction time, construction trucks coming through their existing residential neighborhoods.
Sure.
There is a road that's to be planned that in all likelihood will be in before this development really kicks off. And so that certainly made them happy. So they're 2 residential units, and this one in particular is 66 units. But it was a little bit more challenging because it is up in that northwest quadrant, and public health services does have to come from Dayton.
Sure.
So
Okay.
we have a real good working relationship with Dayton, and so I think everything will work out for this. So,
Very good.
the couple other things. The needless to say, our street reconstruction program has ended for the season. I
A
want
lot
to
of
thank
people happy about those buttoning up.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. I want to thank our engineering crew for doing that. They're not easy to do that because you're going in and you're disrupting people's lives, and you're disrupting the streets, you're relocating mailboxes, and so it can be a real challenge. And so I want to thank our engineering folks for their great job. So meeting got over at about 10 to 8, so it was not quite an hour and a half. So it was, my last meeting as the administrator. It was a little difficult to sit there, and I thank the council for all their support that they've given me over the years. I've been with the city 32 and a half years, and it's a city I love and is a part of me, and so it's a little tough to retire. But then again, at 74 and there must be something else for me to do in the next 74 years, I think.
Something tells me you'll be busy,
I'll
right?
find something to do, yes.
They've already appointed to the Cable Commission to continue on, so I think there are other things out there.
Yeah.
Well, we have a couple final minutes, and again, over the past month, 2 months, we've been talking at the end of each program a little bit about Al taking us back through the years. And one thing we haven't talked about, and I wanted to ask just a little bit in the minute here, is we've talked about the staff, we've talked about the council and some of the inner workings of the city. How about the community groups? And I know the Lions were one of the groups that were recognized within this meeting. How important has that been, and how important is that to a city that you have community groups that fill in and are involved in the city, and maybe some of your interactions with them?
Well, I think community groups is absolutely vital to any city. You have to have community participation. Maple Grove is fortunate. We've got a number of community groups, Arbor Committee and Lake Quality Commission and the Citizens Advisory Committee and Parks and Planning Commission, and we have a wide range of community organizations, and I think that's absolutely critical for the success of any city to have that interaction. We've added a few organizations since I came on board, but I don't think we have any organizations that are not doing what they should be doing, and so and it just helps us as staff, get the word out to these organizations as to what we do. But overall, I think the success of any city, you've got to have community organizations. You've got to have citizen participation. It's critical.
And you've had a chance to be involved in some of those groups too, so it hasn't been as if you've watched from a distance. You've dug in sometimes, haven't you?
Oh, I have. Yeah, I've been involved in I guess all of them, and and I'm involved in the Historical Society, but that's not a quote city organization, but that's an organization I'm very fond of, and I think a community needs to have something like that as well. But the Citizens Advisory Committee has played a very important role over the years, the eyes and ears of the city. And so Lake Quality and Arbor, all of that certainly plays a big role. So.
And those other community groups as well, going to the Lions and the Rotary and some of those people, and you mentioned historical. They obviously aren't city related, but they on occasion will appear at a council meeting and do contribute to what goes on at the city. Is that correct too? And
absolutely.
They have to be thanked as well.
Oh, absolutely right. I look at the contributions that the Rotary has made in the area of our town green. And that the Lions have made over by the community center, and just all the different projects and donations that both the Lions and the Rotary have provided to the city. It's immeasurable. I mean, it's just really, really great to see that. So.
All right, so final question, what's next for Al Vance? And that's what everyone is asking. When you do retire, do you have some travel plans, or how far out have you looked, I guess is maybe the way to ask the question, as far as what you're going to be doing next?
Well, I really do not have any travel plans at the moment. We're just going to kind of take it by ear for at least the first 30 days.
Good deal.
I got the job list at home is long, and I need to get going on that. And so time with the grandkids, and just we're first 30 days we're just going to kind of rest and relax, and maybe maybe go out and do some things and take my wife to dinner and things like that.
That sounds wonderful. Well, we have our sources, so we'll keep up to date on Al and try to pass that along. Well, Al, thank you very much again for
Dave,
joining us.
thank you very much
for the program here
Thank
today
you.
and
Thank
throughout the years. It's been wonderful, and we wish you the best.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, let's leave you with that next council meeting date, because even though Al won't be there, the meeting will go on. It's Monday, December 7th. It is at 7:30 at the council chambers. Website on the top of the screen. Viewer response line 533-1710. If you have questions or comments, please pass those along. For Al Manson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.